Hello and welcome to English. Today's English lesson is for intermediate and even advanced users of English. I'm going to teach you about the different ways that we use the word shall to talk about the future and compare it with will, which is part of the future simple formula. Shall, as with will, is a modal verb and can be used in different ways. Shall is important to know about as it is used when we talk about obligations, contracts, legal documents, in questions, particularly to make offers and suggestions, and it is also synonymous with will in some statements, but most of the time it is not interchangeable with will. Confused? I don't blame you. Let me break it down for you now and try to simplify things. In statements, we can use shall instead of will in our future simple formula, but only when the subject is I or we. We can't use shall with he, she, it or they in the type of sentences I will describe to you now. For example, we can say things like, I'll go to the party. This is future simple. Or, I shall go to the party. This is future simple with shall. This is a spontaneous decision. Are you going to the party? Yeah, sure. I shall go to the party. We can also use shall to talk about things you will do. For promises. Don't worry, we'll pay you back the money. Or, don't worry, we shall pay you back the money. And remember what I said, we cannot use shall with he, she, it, or they. So you cannot say, he shall go to the party, or they shall go to the party, or she shall pay you back the money. The correct sentences would be, he'll go to the party, or they'll go to the party, or don't worry, she'll pay you back the money. The use of shall in statements sounds very formal and is not used often by native speakers. It is quite outdated in the type of sentences that I have demonstrated for you so far. To use shall in the negative, we can contract to shan't. Shan't. But this is even more outdated and formal. So while it is grammatically correct to say we shan't go to the party, nobody says this. It is far more common to say we won't go to the party. An interesting point is in positive statements, subject plus shall and subject plus will both have exactly the same contraction. So there is no way of telling which word is used. For example, I will contracted is I'll, and I shall contracted is also I'll. And it's the same for all the subject pronouns. So a quick summary of what we've gone over so far. To talk about spontaneous decisions or promises in the future, we use future simple, which is subject plus will plus base verb. I will call you tonight. We can substitute will with shall if the subject is I or we. I shall call you tonight. However, shall is outdated and formal, so I recommend that you use will every time when making a promise or talking about a spontaneous decision. Or just use a contraction as it's the same for either will or shall. A time that shall is important to know about is for rules or obligations and for legal contracts and documents. Now, when used in this way, shall means that something must be done or adhered to. For example, All employees shall wear safety glasses when operating machinery. This means the employees must wear safety glasses. It is company policy. Or all employees shall inform their supervisor immediately of any safety concerns. They must do this. And one last example, a legal agreement when renting a house. The tenant shall pay for any damage caused to the property. In all of these sentences, shall means the same as must. And you may notice that in all these examples, we are not limited to just I and we pronouns as subjects. Probably the most well-known place where shall is used in this way, or shalt, which is the old-fashioned version of shall, is in the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder, etc. Here again, shalt or shall means must. Now the other way that shall is used, which is much more common in everyday use, is in questions, particularly to make offers and suggestions. When we make an offer in the form of a question, the subject is always I. Do you want me to do this for you? Shall I do this for you? When used to make an offer, shall means exactly the same as do you want me to do this for you? So for example, maybe my friend says, it's so hot in here. I can respond with an offer. Shall I open the window? This is the same as saying, do you want me to open the window? Or often we say, should I open the window? What we cannot do when making an offer in the form of a question is use will. We cannot replace shall with will here. So we cannot say, will I open the window? When used in this context to offer to do something for someone, then shall is very common. I'll give you a couple more examples. Shall I get you a drink? We could also say, should I get you a drink? Is the TV too loud for you? Shall I turn it down a bit? This is the same as, do you want me to turn it down? Or should I turn it down? And one last example, shall I pick the kids up from school today? Okay, all of these questions just mean, do you want me to? Shall I could be replaced with, do you want me to? And most of the time also with should I? And the questions would mean the same thing. The use of shall is common here though. I say questions like this often. To make offers to people, shall I actually sounds better, I think, than do you want me to do something? And it is a little more formal, but it is still used in everyday speech. The final way that we use shall is in questions again, but this time making suggestions or asking for a suggestion. We must use the pronoun we. This is also common, and I personally often ask questions using shall in my everyday speech. For example, shall we go out for dinner tonight? I'm too tired to cook. Again, shall could be replaced with should. Shall we go for a walk? This is the same as, do you want to go for a walk? Or should we go for a walk? Where shall we go for dinner tonight? Any suggestions? Again, all of these uses of shall could be replaced with should. And again, shall is slightly more formal, but is still used in everyday speech and works well in both of the question forms. To make offers using the pronoun I, for example, shall I take out the rubbish? Shall I take out the trash? As well as for making suggestions or asking for suggestions using the pronoun we. Where shall we go for our next holiday? Now there is one last trap to be aware of. While shall and should are interchangeable in the question form when offering to do something or suggesting something, they are not interchangeable in statements, only in questions. For example, when we are making a suggestion, we cannot say, "I think we shall go to our favourite restaurant tonight. What do you think?" The correct sentence would be, "I think we should go to our favourite restaurant tonight. What do you think?" Okay, so that's a lot of information. Let me see if I can now summarise it all for you and make it as simple as possible. Number one, in statements, it is grammatically correct to use shall instead of will in the future simple form when talking about spontaneous decisions and promises, but only when the subject is I or we. It is not used often by native speakers in this way. It is very formal and outdated when used in this way, so I recommend you use will and not shall in future simple statements. Number two, it is important to know about the use of shall in legal documents, contracts, and for obligations. For example, all employees shall wear safety glasses when operating machinery. Here, shall means must. You have to follow the rule or you will lose your job. If the rule is in the negative form, and because this is a formal document, it would normally be written in the long form. For examples, employees shall not smoke within 5 meters of company buildings. If, however, you see it written like this, employees shan't smoke within 5 meters of company buildings, then this is shall not contracted. And number three, the main way that shall is used is in questions to make offers and suggestions. You can do this again only when the subject is I or we. For example, shall we go and see a movie on the weekend? Shall I drive? In both of these examples, shall could be replaced with should. And in both cases, you are asking for the other person's opinion. I personally like to use the word shall only for questions to make offers and suggestions. I think it sounds slightly better than should in this context, so don't be afraid to use it. I know it's a lot of information about one little word, and maybe I've scared you off and you never want to use shall again, but if you just use it to make offers and suggestions in the question form, then you will be using it correctly. Alright, so that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Quite a technical one for one little word. I apologise for that on behalf of the English language. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Just leave them in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe if you like my lessons and click the bell so you never miss an episode.